Hello my bookworms, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sydney. In today's video, we will be chatting about the mid-year book freakout tag. So hey, what's up? How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. It's that time of the year where we do this mid-year check-in. This video is not only one of my favorite videos to watch other creators do, but it also is super fun for me, myself, to do this sort of mid-year check-in to kind of slow down and take a breath and see how my year is actually going according to this cute little list of questions. I was mildly unprepared. I had to go grab some of the books. I thought I had everything, but obviously I didn't. Okay, but calm down, Sydney. This was supposed to be calm and casual. Let's just start with question number one. Let's bring it back to center. Question number one is, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? I can't give you one. I'm gonna give you quite a few front runners, all right? First and foremost, I have Piranesi in my hand by Susanna Clarke. This felt sort of like the Starless Sea meets Wayward Children series. Absolutely love this book. I think of it very fondly. Another book is We Spread by Ian Reid. I think about this ending to this day. The writing is phenomenal and the story itself, it's lingering. Another one in the running is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This book is gonna come up again later, but it is for sure one of the best books I've read. I love it so much. Another book is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. As we all know, if you saw my stats video, my quarterly stats for the first quarter of the year, which I will have another quarterly stats coming out since it's nearing the 50% mark, right? Romance is my second most genre of the year. At least it was last quarter. I'm assuming it's gonna be the same this quarter as well, unless it's surpassed fantasy. I don't even know what's happening in my reading anymore, but this book was real good. And then finally, I don't know which one to actually show you because I feel so strongly about every single book in this series. I'm not holding the first book. Maybe I should. Man, okay, one second. Gotten up like 17 times already and I've been sitting down for 4. Anyways, the other books that are in the running for best book of the year right now also kind of goes into the second question of this mid-year book freakout tag, and it's what's the best sequel you've read so far this year. And if you have been here for longer than 2 seconds, you should know that it is The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. Malice is book 1 in this high fantasy political war story series, and it's absolutely phenomenal. This whole series I've given either 4.5 or 5 stars. Like, I consider them all 5 stars. I should stop saying 4.5. Like, I don't know who I'm thinking that I need to validate things for. They're 5 stars, all right? I don't know which one is my favorite. I don't. Maybe Malice or Wrath are my favorite, potentially. I don't know. I don't even have to, I don't know why I'm trying to choose. I don't need to choose. They're all my children. And Valor, Ruin, and Wrath are all tied for best sequel of the year. Like, I don't, even if I've continued a different series this year, there'd be no competition. These are the answers to close out question 1 and also answer question 2. So let's go on to question 3, which is a new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. I have this book downloaded on Libro FM, which, by the way, you could check out my referral link down in the description to sign up yourself. It's a great service to use instead of Audible or in tandem, but Libro FM gives the money that you're paying for the audiobook to a local bookstore of your choice, which is absolutely phenomenal. So check out that link in the description. But the book in question is Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea by Rita Chang Epig. I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's beautiful, and I just need to read it as soon as possible. It says it's a riveting, roaring adventure novel about a legendary Chinese pirate queen, her fight to save her fleet from the forces allied against them, and the dangerous price of power. I am beginning to realize that I love like pirate stories. I love stories set at sea because I just love ships, all right? I love a good ship, and I love the idea of the ocean without me being on the ocean. The ocean scares me. I don't know what else to tell you, but I love water. I don't really make sense to myself either, but yeah, this book is definitely the answer to this question. I think about it all the time, and I just need to get my hands on it and cuddle with Avi. She's sitting on me. Okay, I guess I have to scoot over. Absurd. Question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have quite a few. First and foremost, I have the arc for Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. Can't believe I'm holding it in my hand still. It is for sure at the top of my list. I wanted to read it this month in June, and who's to say, maybe I'll still start it. The month is not yet over, but the TBR I made for June was way too ambitious. It stressed me out, and that being said, I haven't read as much as I want to, and I also got a new Switch, upgraded from the Lite to the OLED. So I've been a little bit mentally elsewhere. But Threads of Power comes out later this year. Very excited about it. Love the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. It is one of those foundation fantasy stories for me, and I can't wait to be back in the world. I also have the arc for Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry, which is a companion novel to Legends and Lattes, which I also can't believe that I have. Very excited to get into that. I was also planning on reading it this month, but you know, Zelda and Animal Crossing were calling my name, so I listened. Okay, wait. The other book that I'm really excited about reading is Rouge by Mona Awad, which comes out, again, later this year. I have a sinking feeling that I've talked about this book in my previous anticipated release video, and I can't remember if I said Rouge or Rogue by Mona Awad. I'm really nervous that I said it wrong. It's Rouge. Rouge by Mona Awad is the actual book that I'm excited for. I really hope I said it correctly. If I didn't, then that's really funny. And then the last book that I want to mention that I'm really excited about for the latter half of the year is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. Very much looking forward to her adult debut. I think it's her adult debut. I know it's an adult novel by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I have loved her YA things, so I can't wait. I can't wait. Question number 5 is biggest disappointment. There are quite a few, and I refuse to get up again and grab books. Some of them I don't even own anymore, but first and foremost, biggest disappointment, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Once again, if you've been here for longer than 2 seconds, you know how I feel about that book. It was my first 1-star review ever in my life. I have a whole Hello, Abby. I have a whole dedicated reading vlog to that book, so I'm not going in on it here. So moving on. Another book that I was very disappointed for was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I gave that one a 2 out of 5. A lot of things in that story didn't work for me. I remember reading it and thinking that it was giving mild ACOTAR vibes, but if ACOTAR was severely watered down and they tried to make it cute and fluffy. And I'm not saying that ACOTAR is the end all be all, because I didn't really like the first book in that series either. But that is how I felt about Emily Wilde's. For whatever reason, the storyline and characters, literally nothing was working for me, and I won't be continuing in that series. Another book that I think I can say is a most disappointing read, even though I didn't really have high hopes for it, was actually Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was episode 2 of Weird Words, where I read this book with Caleb and we did a dedicated review vlog for it. This episode of Weird Words is Patreon only. It is on the Greenhouse for the Wildflower and Ecosystem tier. So if you want to hear more thoughts on that and Caleb's thoughts on it as well, that is where you should go. That link is also down in the description. But this literally just in one sentence was a ripoff of Twilight if it were aliens instead of vampires. To a T, exactly what it is. And I just didn't like it. But question number 6 is, what is the biggest surprise so far this year? And I can easily say that it is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This was a book that I never even thought I would read. It's called Dreamland Billionaires, for God's sake. But my friend that does my hair was telling me all about the series, and actually hearing what it was about made me second guess the I'm never reading that sort of attitude I had. So I got The Fine Print, read it, and hot dog, did I love it. It was like crack. I could not put it down. I love it so much. And I'm just so surprised that I loved a book. I gave a 5-star rating to The Fine Print, which is called Dreamland Billionaires. If you told me 2 years ago that I read a book called Dreamland Billionaires and gave it 5 stars, I would say, no, she's been kidnapped and you need to go save her now. Send a search party. But here we are today, growing. Question number 7 is your new favorite author, either a debut or new to you author. And this for sure is John Gwynne, without question. John Gwynne is the answer. The sheer planning that went into this series of Faithful and the Fallen. I'm debating on whether to pick it up or not. I don't think I need to. I'm not picking it up. I'm holding this one. The sheer planning that went into this series, there's literally around 10 pages of characters at the beginning of the final book in this series, because there are so many point of views to follow and so many characters at play. The way this story was written just transported me into it. Truly a huge highlight of the year so far is purely just reading this series, because I won't forget how I felt sitting here on this couch reading these books, feeling like I was in Skyrim. All right, 100%. I am so excited to read more from John Gwynne. I also know that last year's answer was Brandon Sanderson, which is really exciting because I love that I'm finding new favorite fantasy authors, and both of them have such a huge backlog of books and books that are coming out currently that I want to read and I'm excited about. So I really like where this is going. Question number 8 is your newest fictional crush. I don't think I had an answer for this last year, but I do this year. Boy, howdy do I have an answer for you this year. First and foremost, Delilah Green. Absolutely love her. Just finished Delilah Green Doesn't Care this morning. Had a great time. Loved it. Would marry Delilah Green. Of course, Daniel Grant from Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Love a small town boy with those well-placed manners. Would also marry Daniel Grant. And then also Rowan Kane. I'm not sorry. He's from the fine print. I don't know why I'm laughing. Question number 9 is, who is your newest favorite character? This was also really easy because it's Corbin from the Faithful and the Fallen series. I would put my life on the line for Corbin, my sweet baby boy. And also from the same series is Makeen, who was nicknamed the Old Wolf. And I would go to the ends of the earth for him as well. I mean, I also love Cohen from the series. Like, I love like everyone from this series, but those two, Corbin and Makeen, they're everything, all right? Love them. Also, a fun little addition is Rocky from Project Hail Mary. He saved that book for me. Love Rocky. Question number 10 is, what is a book that made you cry? And I told you that it was coming up again later in the video. It is 100% You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. When I tell you I sobbed, I mean I ugly cried. I was uncontrollably crying for at least 20 minutes after and during reading this book. Our main character in the story loses her partner in a tragic car accident. It's been years, but she's still obviously struggling with that grief. She's trying to get back out there and start dating again. But again, the grief is holding her back. It is making things difficult. She's also an artist, so she's putting together this art exhibit that is involving the loss of her partner and the subject of grief. And as someone who has lost a partner in a very emotionally tragic way, I have never seen grief as a topic, as an emotion, written so perfectly as I read in this story, which is why I was sobbing uncontrollably. And I will never not love this book. It's one of those books that I'm so glad that it exists, and I'm so glad that I got to read it. I can't. But also, I have 2 more because I've cried a lot this year. Another one is The Measure by Nikki Erlich. This book was a roller coaster for me because there were some things that I really did not like about the story, mostly just the political point of view that we had. I just hate politics and I can't get into it, mostly because the guy is such a sleazy politician, and I was really hoping that that point of view was going to, I don't know, shed some positivity in the political sphere, but it didn't. Gave me exactly what I thought I would get. But that's neither here nor there. The last 100 pages in that story, I was just like, it was whiplash. I was crying, and then that point of view ended, and then I would cry again and again, because the story is surrounding the idea that everyone wakes up one day and there's a box with a string on your doorstep, and the length of the string tells you how long you're going to live. So just imagine if you and your partner both open your boxes and you decide to look at how long your string is, and one of you has a very significantly shorter string than the other. Like, you were planning a life together, but now you know that you won't be able to live that full life together. Like, that idea in and of itself is tragic. And by the end of the story, we're finding out like when people's strings end, and it's absolutely devastating. And it was written really well. I will definitely read from that author again. The other book that made me sob was Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and for a very specific reason. It's a pandemic story, and there is literally just one page in particular that is talking about how our main character was trying to maintain a normal life and going through the normal nightly routine with her daughter while there are sirens going on outside. She's seeing the lights on the ceiling while she's reading a bedtime story to her daughter, and you know, there's a couple lines about that concept, and you should read the book even just to read that scene. But I felt so deeply about that because I'm an ICU nurse. I've worked on COVID units for the last 3 years, and though it is significantly better now, it was really, really bad. Going to work every day during 2020 through 2022, and even now, but mostly those 2 years, it was awful. It was really hard. And that book kind of like, even again, just that one page, but it really, really hit me. It gave that scenario of knowing that everything is so hard and horrible, but coming home and trying to dissociate and separate the two was really powerful. Okay, can the next question be happy? I'm crying. Oh, it is. It is. I need to collect myself really quick though. Question 11 is a book that made you happy. And the book I'm giving you, I'm really happy that I'm able to fit it into the questions here, because truly whenever I think about this book, I just feel happy. It has so much whimsy and wit that I wouldn't be surprised if I just like randomly listened to it again if I needed a comfort read. And it is Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. The world that Brandon Sanderson creates in this story is so fun and beautiful and dangerous. And there's a thing called the Spore Sea, which is what our main character is sailing on in this like pirate ship to try to find the love of her life, because he's been lost at the Spore Sea, which this sea is not made of water, it is made of spores. And there are many types of these spores within this world, which is something very fun about the world building in and of itself. But the spores that make up of this sea cannot touch water, and human bodies are like mostly water, right? So it's very dangerous, because if they get wet, then they like explode, they grow these vines, they become very deadly. So even though this story is full of like comedic relief, the characters are phenomenal. There's animal companions, there's villains, there's curses, there's so much in this book that I think about it and I just get happy because I had so much fun with it. This is that answer for sure. Even though there are so many other books that like I felt happy while reading, those books also have other dynamics in them, where this one I truly just remember how much fun and happy it made me while I was reading it. You know what I'm saying? Question number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book that you have acquired so far this year? I literally have so many books sitting here for this one question. It's a little bit absurd, but I'm gonna show you some of them. Trust of the Emerald Sea is on this list because this is the softest leather. It is such a joy to hold. It is absolutely beautiful. The illustrations inside are just absolutely everything. Like, it's beautiful. At the beginning of every chapter, there's also like little green illustrations that keep growing with every chapter, which means something, but you'll find it out later. Then later it turns into like black ink, which is also foreboding. And I just think it's perfect. I love this book a lot. And then some other beautiful editions, just quickly. Tomorrow and Tomorrow, the holographic edition. This was one of my best books of the year last year. I was on the hunt to find the holographic one and I found it, and it sits on my bedside table because it makes me happy. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This is a beautiful edition. Look at those sprayed edges and this naked hardback. Wow. What a time to be alive. And of course, I did get Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. These dragons. I really hope I love this book. I'm so worried that I'm not gonna like it. I'm really nervous, but I love the cover. Love it a lot. I'm doing a book haul soon, so a couple of these you might see in that book haul, but I got The Divine Comedy by Dante, like the whole bind up of all of them. I just look at it. Look at this spine, like perfect. And this back, I really am obsessed with this edition. It does have deckled edges. Not too much of a fan of that, but you know what? I'm looking past it. Oh, you know what? If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This was in this stack. I was supposed to mention that that's one of my favorite books of the year as well so far. I really loved it, but I also love it because of the cover. I think it's beautiful. Another absolutely stunning edition is The Adventures of Omina Al-Sarafi. Look at this cover. I love the original cover as well, but this is just shiny and these sprayed edges are also to die for. Look at this interior. Wow. Like, that's on the back too. Like, can you even? I can't. Stunning. Another book that I know nothing about but came in my Fairy Loot adult fantasy book only subscription box is The Curse of Saints by Kate Dramas. I just remember opening this box up, looking at this book and going, oh. Because for whatever reason, I love it. Like, can get into that action, and wow. Like, who gave this book the right? Who said that this was allowed? Because it's stunning. I don't know anything about it, but I definitely want to read it. And then just very quickly, these books I wanted just to show because they don't have sprayed edges, but they are a type of beautiful book cover that I am just always so drawn to. This one is Drifts by Kate Zambrano. My favorite shade of yellow. It's a big body of water that looks ominous. I think Kayla and I are gonna read this one together because it sounds really fun. I thrifted this. This is again gonna show up in a book haul, but I thrifted this recently and I'm really excited about it. What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu is another cover that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Just haven't been in the right mind place to read it. And again, not traditionally beautiful, but I love a cow. It is The Wall by Marlene Haushofer. Look at it. It's so cute. I love it a lot. Okay, that's it. Question 13. I never really know what I'm supposed to say to this one. It says, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? I wrote, I don't know, man, a lot, because it's a lot. I want to read a lot of books before the end of the year. I think that all of the anticipated releases ones that I mentioned earlier are on this list. I feel feel like I feel like The Way of Kings should be on this list, as well as The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Really want to read that. You know, kind of a silly question. Like, I want to read so many things. Then finally, question number 14 is content creators that you've been loving. I'm a very busy person and I don't really have a whole ton of time to actually devote to sitting down and watching YouTube. If I'm watching YouTube, it's usually like on my TV while I'm doing things downstairs so that I can listen. You know what I'm saying, Abby? You're so great. My sweet baby. Stop getting older. You're so sweet. We call her the Eternal Doge because she's never gonna die. Ain't that right, Goblin? Tell me it's right. But okay, my comfort booktubers, people who I watch pretty much anytime that I have the time, are Steph from Stephanie Bookish, Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, Sarah without an H, Noelle Gallagher, Reagan from Peruse Project, Kayla, Books and Lala, Murphy, Noelle 7 Pages, Jan from Jan Agaton, and then Heather McClary, who I just recently subscribed to. I have been following for a while on Instagram, but I didn't know that she actually had a YouTube channel. So I've recently found her channel and I'm very excited to actually watch long form content from her. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that I will randomly like find a video and watch, but these people are who I seem to be watching most this year so far. It's a great list. And I think that that's it. That's the end of the list. I have to clean up now and tend to this shaking dog. There's probably a fly in here that she's nervous about. She's terrified of flies, if you didn't know that. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. Let me know down below some of your favorite books so far of the year and your least favorite books so far of the year. Those two questions I really want to know. Or if you don't have anything to say, then leave the cherry emoji down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another and happy reading. Bye.